Hold on, brother Daniels.
Okay, so we are welcome to the after party of our Christ Michael Center December meeting, video conference meeting. After party, we talk about any and everything. The meeting or the first part of the meeting has ended. This is the after party. Brother Daniels, the floor is yours.
Okay, Pastor Caro, thank you very much. So I was saying that while Brother Bolaji was speaking about his experience, I was thinking us as Jesusonians are, how we are perceived in our social space in promoting the UB positively or negatively, right? So I perceive that if we can teach the UB without teaching the UB directly, like without mentioning verses, without quoting, if you can make people fall in love or see God in our lives by how we are interacting with them without necessarily, calling forth information. And while I say this, I'm also looking at the example of Christ, right? When Christ was dealing with a lot of people loved Christ, not because of what they perceived that he knew, but how he made them feel and how he interacted with them, what they saw in him. All of them knew they met an unusual guy, including Tiberius. Tiberius, the king, literally said if he had the countenance of Jesus, he would be a true emperor. But I'm not sure Jesus Christ went down and was telling him about the organization of the super universe. So it's kind to share the UB with my life rather than with my knowledge. And that's why if we even study the life of Christ, he never used psychic force, he never used his intellectual abilities to oppress people. Where he knew that he had a superior logical thinking, he didn't make that his point of defense or attack. He made people attracted to what he was saying by the love that they perceived that he had for them and the kind of just the way he lived his life. So I think you be readers of this generation, we should also learn from that so that we don't just create a faction or a denomination in the eyes of people, so that when you start talking, people will not just say, oh, that's just your own way of seeing the world, that's just you. Oh, we know that people believe different things. You just become another sect or cult in people's mind. And it's important. Normally, one will say, oh, why would I care about that? I just have to do what I have to do. I'll talk the way I like. I'll say the way I'm being moved, right? But if we really want to help the people, if we really want to spread the truth, we should recognize these traps that people can fall into, because we are not the ones falling into this, that we are not the ones that are going to fall into this trap per se. It is the people that will fall into the trap by labeling us something or tagging us something based on how they see we act, or what they think we say, or where they categorize us from what we say and how we act. So I think it's wisdom to be able to see these things and find a way around it, which Jesus did a lot of times. And that's why he was able to win people. I was telling somebody the other day that the influence that Christianity had on the world was not because of Jesus Christ's 12 apostles only. When he went on the Mediterranean tour, he literally formed or interacted with people to form an organization before he left them suddenly, right? And when the apostles came to those places several years later, the people were very receptive because of these people that Christ had already interacted with. So I feel we UB readers that are interested in the dissemination of truth, right? Especially the people that are in the fields, right? People on the mission ground, people that are reaching out. If you are not on the mission ground, if you are not in public ministry, you're just doing your own thing, then you may not be interested or you may not be cognizant of these things. But for somebody on the mission field, how you act can play a huge role in determining if people will come towards the UB or move away from it. And because we want to spread the truth positively, I think we should, find way and pray for the wisdom to be able to make our lives be the gospel that we preach rather than the knowledge that we have.
Thank you for that. This is the after party. As you can see, I'm eating. So if you want to get your food or snack or drink, you can. You eat, you drink, and then we continue conversation. Welcome to the after party of today's December 1st of December, which happens to be the first Sunday of December 2024. We usually have after parties after our monthly video conference meetings. Brother Bolaji, the floor is yours.
Oh,
Get your drink, get your food if you want. Go ahead. Brother Bolaji, over to you.
all right. Um, I just want to add two things. I want to add two things. One is on what Brother Daniel said, and the other is a question that I have. I noticed this thing. Whenever I share information related to the UB community, CMC, I share our conversation, like the knowledge I get between our conversation between me and Pastor Carol. If I share those informations in my Christian fellowship that I used to go every week, that I used to attend every week, without adding anything Urantia, UB, they will openly accept it. Everybody will accept it anyway. But anytime I share things on my status, if I share things anywhere, that I just put Urantia book, people things, it will spark some things in people's mind, like, what's this? Oh, this boy have his quest for knowledge has led him to join one occultic something or whatever. All those things. That's what I noticed. Anytime I just share information about the Urantia book and remove key characters, like where it includes um, celestial personalities, just say angels, where it includes um, third heaven, fourth heaven, Jerusalem, salvation, just say heaven. But all those things, it will be creating more confusion. I don't know. If I don't know if we won't quote it the way it is, we are doing it the other way for acceptance. Are we not just going to continue along like this for maybe another millennium and nothing happens? I don't know. It will be creating more confusion. I don't know how we can just plainly present the truth in a more acceptable manner. And that's one. And another one is my question. I have a question of how should I study the UB? Before, when I first found the UB, I had some questions and confusions in my mind that's troubling me. So the UB answered all of those questions, and I'm just at peace now, at peace, and just have the correct knowledge of how things should be. But now I'm just wondering, what's the best way to study the UB? Is it serially or randomly, or now? Because now most of the questions in my mind have been answered, and then there are other anytime I study the UB anywhere, I always get something. I'm just looking what's the best way.
Thank you for your comments. Blessings. Our brother Daniels has a response, so let's listen to him.
Okay, Bro Bolaji, thank you very much for your comment and your question. So your first question was, if I got you correctly, in summary, is just how do we spread the Urantia book without watering it down and without coming off as just something different, right? So if I'm to answer that question, I would just say it's by we evolving and realizing who we are first. Personally, I don't think it's about just coming in contact with the human and quickly going to proselyte it. If we do that, we just become another evolutionary religion, right? Even as we're trying to make the truth available to truth seekers, because we are not just interested in any member of the public. That's just the truth. The level where the Urantia book exists is not for the level of the average member of our race at this time, 2024. So it will be people that are seeking it, that have made some decisions in the past that are leading them to the book that we are making ourselves available for, right? And in doing this, we ourselves we need to imbibe and grow to spiritual heights where our lives become the gospel. People look at your life, people you interact with, they know something is different and they want to listen to you. When you interact with them, they feel that your interaction with them is different from the way they interact with other people. They can sense that there's something different about you. That way, you attract the right kind of people to you. That way you speak, they know that yes, you have something to say because they know that things are working for you differently. They are eager to ask you questions. They ask you questions that no other person asks you, right? And then when you meet this truth seeker, when you open yourself, they'll be more receptive to what you have to say. So you may not be able to just hold a public general meeting. If you do that, a lot of people will misunderstand what you say because they'll quickly label you as something. That's why your strategy of actually sharing your Ransha book post edited, even if it's not recommended, based on the audience that you're communicating with, one or two people needed to hear that, and then you needed to do that to help them overcome that their bias that will have made them disregard what you're saying. That their bias that will have made them not believe to the extent that they should have. You've eliminated that bias for them at that time. But it's because they are at a particular level, that's why you're having to do that for them, right? So I think the primary thing we should be interested in is in our own growth. Our own growth will naturally, attract the right kind of people and make us, be able to express the truth at the level that we are supposed to express it. Then your next question about how do you study the Urantia book, right? I think the you really have to read the entire book. That's just the truth. That's just the truth. If you read different parts at different times, you might not read the entire book, and you may have been reading the book for years. The best way is just to set out time and start from the beginning of the book. Even if maybe the part 4 of the book, the part about Jesus Christ, led you to the book, still have a plan to finish the entire book from start to the end. Just pick a year, like next year, 2025, you could start in January. You start reading the paper in January 2025 every day. Maybe for 5 days or 6 days in a week, you try to read it every morning to be your study material when you wake up for your morning devotion, right? If you do that, you could finish it in 9 months, you could finish it in a year, you could finish it in a year and 6 months, but you really have to have that in mind and really do that. Finish the entire book once at least, and then over the years also have plans to continue reading the book because you would be experiencing different dimensions of the book the more you read the book. The first time you read it, there are some things you would see, there are some things you will not see. The second time you are reading the book, there are some things you will see the second time that you didn't see the first time. And then the third time you read the book, there are still some new things you will see that you didn't see the first and second time. So you have to have a culture where you continually read the book all your life, to be honest, but at different times. Personally, I plan to read the book every 4 years. So I read it the first time in 2020 from start to finish, and from 2021 to 2023, I was reading it in different parts. On our CMC study, personal study. I just go to the parts that I'm led to. But in 2024, I started reading the entire book again, and I'm currently in paper 190, right? And 2025, I won't read the book till 2028 again. But during that time, I'll just be going to different parts as I'm led. So to truly, understand the truth in the Urantia book and learn from it, you really have to read the entire book, and you have to read it a lot of times. Because for crying out loud, the Urantia book is the epochal revelation that is not a person or a being. All the past epochal revelations have been personalities, planetary prince, Adam and Eve, Melchizedek, Christ. Then we're having the fifth now, that is a book. So one needs to really be embedded in the book. So that's just my response.
Yeah, thank you for that. With regards to your questions, my contribution is this, at least for now. There are different strategies you can employ to study the Urantia book. We are human beings. We have our own sentimental feelings. We have different backgrounds and different life experiences, etc. Our interests are different. Some people, they are only interested in part 1 of the Urantia book. Some part 2. Some people part 3. Some people, they are only interested in part 4. Then some people are interested in all parts. So you got to ask yourself as a human being, from what you've seen so far, what part of the book are you interested in? Just like what Brother Daniel said that I'll say the same thing. Personally, I believe if you really consider yourself as a student of the Urantia book and you really want to understand the book, the fifth epochal revelation, you have to read everything, including the foreword, and all 196 papers. Now, how do you go about it? Back to the areas of interest with regards to the book. Let's say you are interested in part 4. A lot of people, most especially those with Christian background, they are interested primarily in part 4 of the Urantia book. Fine. Now, I'm saying, or some of us are saying, you have to read the entire book, which is a good recommendation. So how do you do that? What I'll say is this. Part 4 is your number 1 interest, fine. Nothing stops you from reading. Nothing stops you from reading part 4. In short, you can be reading from part 4 every single day. That's fine. However, since you should read the entire book, it is very wise to read the entire book to really understand the book very well. And if you are going to follow that advice, yes, keep reading your part 4 every day. At the same time, start from paper 1 and be reading. So let's say you read paper 1 today, you can go to part 4 and read something from part 4 the same day. That's fine. You see what I'm saying? For some people, what is important to them, is part 3. If part 3 is what you are really passionate about, that you really prefer part 3, that's fine. Read your part 3 every day if you want. At the same time, create time for part 1, part 2, and part 4, so that within a year, 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years, my suggestion is let it not be more than 4 or 5 years. Within 4 or 5 years, you have read the entire book. For some people, it will take 1 year or 2 years. It depends on you, your level of commitment, and your different activities, your different engagements. You might be schooling, you might be working, you might be taking care of children, you might be taking care of your parents. Some people spend time to take care of their old parents or senior citizens. Their parents are old, they need care, and they are the ones available to take care of that 80-year-old or 90-year-old parents or grandparents. These things will take time from you. So it all depends on how much time you have. It will determine how long it will take for you to cover the entire book. When I read the book, I was in college. In college, I was going to school. I was schooling at the university. I was also working. I was schooling and working. I was working part-time. You see? So, and I was studying the Urantia book. So for me, it took me 3 years. You know, just imagine if I was married with children at the same time, going to the university, working part-time, married with children. I think it would have taken me 5 or 6 years. So it depends. Some people, they are not married, they are not working, they're just going to school. Some are not even schooling. They may just be working part-time. So some people are taking care of their grandparents, spending time to assist them with their needs, physical needs, you know, healthcare needs, etc. So it depends. It's different for different people. The most important thing is know yourself, your own time, your own schedule, and be sincere. Ask yourself, what can I do? Then do it. Take action. Don't waste time. Be reading your favorite parts of the Urantia book, but also create time to read other parts. Some people read a section a day, 2 sections a day, because each paper is divided into sections. You have 196 papers. Then the foreword is there. Don't forget about the foreword. The foreword is the most difficult part of the Urantia book, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many, many readers. As difficult as it is, read it. You don't have to understand everything. Just read. Other parts of the book as well, they have different degrees of difficulties. You don't need to understand everything immediately. Just read. Keep reading. As you are reading, you are sowing seeds. With time, you understand more. You see? Some people can read 1 paper a day. If you are that kind of a person based on your schedule, fine. Then another thing as well, audio. Technology has made things easy. This is not 1960, the early years of the publication of the book. The book was published in 1955. So this is not 1960 or 1970. We now have what is called what? Cell phones. You can download the app, Urantia Book app, on your cell phone, and you can listen to the audio. So while you are doing dishes, you can be listening to the audio. While you are in the bathroom, having number 2, or taking a dump, you can be listening to the audio. I do that. I'm doing dishes. Sometimes I'm listening to the audio. I'm in the restroom. I'm listening to the audio. Sometimes I'm exercising. You know, I exercise. You know, exercise, you got to take care of your body. While I'm jogging, doing push-ups, you know, etc., I'm listening to the audio. You know, sometimes I'm eating. I'm listening to the audio. So there are different things you can be doing. You can be listening to the audio. You can be taking a walk in the park or in your neighborhood. You are listening to the audio. That's technology for you. In addition to the app that you can download from an app store or Play Store or whatever online store, you also have there's something I discovered recently. My wife brought it to my attention, Spotify. And I shared it with you guys on our WhatsApp forums. You can go on Spotify, type Urantia Book, and you can be listening to the audio free of charge on Spotify. There are different ways. Some people go online. There are websites online that has the book in text and audio. They just go to the website. I do that sometimes. In short, a lot of the times when I listen to the audio is from the website. You know, I have 24/7 internet connection. We have that at home. Good high-speed internet. But for some people, they may not have 24/7 internet connection. So it is different for different people. Just know what you have and know what you can do and do it. You listen to the audio. Some people download the audio because you can download. If you go to urantia.org, for example, urantia.org, urantia.org, you can download the audio. So you don't even need internet connection at all. So while you're on the bus, for example, you are traveling from point A to point B, you are in a bus or in a taxi or Uber, you can be listening to the audio. Some people, they travel 1 hour, 2 hours every day. Some, they may travel 2 hours a week for one activity or the other. While you are traveling, Even if it's a 30 minutes journey, you can plug in your phone, your earpiece, you listen to the audio. Or if you are driving your own car, you may not need earpiece. You are the only one there. Just listen to the audio. So listening to the audio and reading the text, they are very crucial. I believe strongly in my heart that people who listen to the audio and read the text, they do far better compared to those who only listen to audio or who only read the text. Do both. There are different advantages that each presents, audio and text. Do both. I always encourage people to do both. You'll be surprised what you will learn in 6 months, in 1 year. You'll be surprised how your life will be transformed. Of course, just like Brother Chima said in the previous meeting before this after party, your intent matters. Once you have a burning desire to really know God for who He is and to do His will and to walk in His ways, in His love, if that is your true intention, you will be surprised what you will learn. Don't come to the book with the mindset of you want to be just intelligent. Some people do that. They read the book, it helps them to be intelligent, and they get carried away by that intelligence. No. Yes, you will be more intelligent, but bring in spirituality as well. You need to have a desire to know God, your Heavenly Father, your spiritual Father, and to do His will, to walk in the fruits of the Spirit. When you have that desire to walk in the fruits of the Spirit, in the power of God, you don't want to be an ordinary human being. You want to walk in spiritual power. When you have this in your mind, and you approach the Urantia book from that sincerely, and of course, these desires will help you to, will make you have another desire, which is to be of loving service to others, to add value to the lives of others. When you have all this in place in your heart, settled, signed and sealed, you'll be amazed what God will do to you and through you. Your life won't be the same again. You will be living a supernatural life on earth. You'll be a supermodel, superhuman. It may take some time, but you'll get there. Your life will be way, way, way better. Far, far better than the lives of millions, billions of people on earth. This is the truth. Some people don't know. They'll say, oh, this Urantia book, what's the value even? Some people get discouraged because of the grammar. No, just learn the language. Every book has its own language. Learn the language of the Urantia book. Have a dictionary. Check your words. That's why I took our time before the after party in our, for lack of better words, main meeting or first meeting. I took our time to emphasize on prodding and plodding. Those are two words that we looked at. So we went to the dictionary to look at the meaning. I took our time to dwell on it because I want our people to understand the value of using a dictionary to check for words, the meaning of words. Because that will take your level of understanding to another level. Some people read the Urantia book, they don't use dictionary. They'll just say this word, I don't understand the meaning. Get your dictionary. Don't be lazy. The Urantia book will challenge you in all areas of your life, I'm telling you. It will task your laziness. It will let you know whether you are lazy or not. And I mean spiritual laziness. Because you may be hardworking physically on your job, etc. But when it comes to spiritual hard work, some people don't want spiritual hard work. They are lazy. If you have a hunger to know God, you shouldn't find it difficult. Get your dictionary. Check the meaning of words from the Urantia book. And with technology today, you just need to go online or get your dictionary app. You just go to the app, plug in that word, get the meaning. And when you get the meaning of that word, it helps you to understand what you are reading better. And it improves your English or your French or German, whatever language you're using. Before you know it, the way you speak will be different. Your intelligence will go to another level, which will bring in blessings to you directly and indirectly, even at your place of work. You know that you stand out, you get promotion faster. You will stand out. Your bosses or your managers or your employers will see you. Or if you own your own company, your business, your clients will see that this guy is different. You will stand out, which will bring blessings to different areas, all areas of your life. You know, so that's it. Then with regards to, and of course, through you, other people will be blessed. I like to emphasize that it's not, we are not being egocentric. You are blessed to be a blessing to others. Then with regards to what you have said, Brother Daniels gave some very valuable contributions there concerning sharing messages from the Urantia Book with the general public. I think you have to discuss that with your thought adjuster. You understand? Your strategy may not be my strategy. There are different strategies. Jesus, for example, used different strategies at different times in his life. Before Jesus started his public ministry, he traveled to some countries around the world. In some places that he went to, he did not even quote from the Hebrew scriptures. He did not. He didn't make mention of Hebrew scriptures at all. The primary reason why he made mention of the Hebrew scriptures in his public ministry is because majority of his audience were students of the Hebrew scriptures. You remember it was in Palestine. It was in Palestine. The master was in Palestine. In those days in Palestine, that area which we call Israel, Palestine today, majority of religious students were students of the Hebrew scriptures. Even to this day, a good number of them are students of Hebrew scriptures. So Jesus was preaching to an audience that was primarily of the Hebrew extraction, Jews who studied the Hebrew scripture. So that was the main reason he always referred to the Hebrew scriptures during his public ministry. And for those of us who have studied the Urantia Book, we know about the so-called missing years. We saw how the master preached and taught before his public ministry. We have seen clearly that he was able to teach and preach in different countries without making mention even once of the Hebrew scripture. You can do the same. So sometimes, depending on the audience, you don't have to make mention of the Urantia Book. You can preach and teach without making mention of the Urantia Book at all. Then, depending on your audience, again, you can make mention of the Urantia Book. You see? If I'm in a Christian church, personally, I will not make mention of the Urantia Book. I won't, because it may just create unnecessary obstacles. It is a Christian church, you know, except that that Christian church is a very mature Christian church. I will teach from the book. I will make mention of the Urantia Book. You know? However, in a Urantia Book forum, of course, I will. Also, in a public forum, maybe I'm out there in a park and I'm talking to some people. It depends on the people I'm talking to. You have to gauge your audience. I may make mention of the Urantia Book, I may not. Now, what of when I'm preaching on, I preach and teach on social media. Social media. Now, when it comes to social media, strategies differ. You may do so without making mention of the book. You may. Personally, I have decided, When I'm talking on social media, be it Facebook, be it Twitter or X, Instagram, even on YouTube. YouTube is still part of social media. I've personally decided to literally make mention of the book because I want to create more awareness of the book. I see that to me, the book is so important when it needs more awareness. More people need to know of the book. So I make mention of the book. I quote from the book. I read from the book. I talk about the book. I make mention of the name. I do that all the time. That is my own decision. Will you do that? That's up to you. If you want to do it, fine. If you don't want to do it, fine. Personally, I do not go to Christian churches every week. I told myself personally that the time I will be spending going to a Christian church, I want to use that time to study the Urantia Book and or to preach publicly from the Urantia Book. Because to me, I looked at the world, I said Christianity is everywhere, almost everywhere, all over the world. Why should I be spending so much time with Christian churches when the Urantia Book needs to be promoted? That is my own personal decision. So I don't go to church, Christian churches. The CMC is my church. The ChristMichaelCenter is my church. The ChristMichaelCenter is my church. Jesusonian church. I'm Jesusonian. And my church is a Jesusonian church. That's how I see it. But if you want to go to a Christian church, or you want to go to a Muslim church or a mosque, that's your choice. That's fine. If you find yourself in a mosque or a Christian church or a Hindu temple, you can share teachings from the Urantia Book. But generally speaking, I will advise no need to make mention of the book. You are in another man's house, as it were. Just leave them in their house. Share teachings from the book without making mention of the book. And sometimes adapt or make adjustments to your teachings to suit their own theology. And do it in a wise way without compromising the truth. And at the same time, bless them mightily. There are Urantia Book students who are members of Christian churches, Muslim mosques, Hindu temples. They are members. They go there every week. They even teach and preach there. They are very active. And they are transforming lives in all these evolutionary religions, in all these places of worship of man-made religions. Because Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, they are all man-made religions. That's the truth. They are not revelatory, God-made religions. The revelatory religion I know of is that of the Urantia Book. And that is the religion Jesus practiced. The religion of personal relationship with the Heavenly Father by way of relationship with his thought adjuster, the still small voice within. It is called the religion of the Spirit. Yes, there are Christians who practice it as well. Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus, etc. They practice it. But for the most part, these people mix it with their man-made evolutionary religions. They mix it, you know. But we are learning not to mix because we believe that is the best option. In short, it is the best option. That's what Jesus did. You see, Jesus did not start Christianity. He's not the founder of Christianity. No, Christianity was founded by, more or less, for the most part, Peter and Paul. If you study Christian church history, that's it. Even though some Christians will want to say Jesus started it, they are just being sentimental. Jesus did not start Christianity. That's just a fact. This one is a fact. In short, Jesus and his followers were not called Christians. Some followers, not even all, some followers of Jesus began to be called Christians at Antioch after Jesus had lived, died, resurrected, and ascended to heaven. Then Paul came on board and took it to another level. Jesus did not start Christianity, but Jesus presented to us the religion of the Spirit, the religion of personal relationship with God by way of relationship with the still small voice within. And when you study the life of Jesus, you will see that he always communed with the still small voice within. That's the thought adjuster, the mystery monitor, the candle light of God, the voice of God to the soul. That is how you interact one-on-one with the Heavenly Father. And of course, Jesus interacted with the Spirit, Holy Spirit, Universe Mother Spirit. You see? So, different strategies for different folks. Great question. Discuss some more with your thought adjuster about these questions and map out your strategy. Each one of us will have to map out a strategy. That's how it works. If you study the life and teachings of Jesus, and thank God they are presented in a beautiful way in the Urantia Book, you will see that Jesus took our time to map out his own strategy. Jesus didn't just show up on the scene and started preaching and teaching. No. Some people do that. No. To be very effective, you have to sit down, calculate, and map out your strategy. If you ask me for my own opinion, anyway, let me not say that. Anyway, if I want to, personally, you can continue going to your Christian church, that's fine. But don't be surprised, the day will come, you won't need to go there anymore. Personally, I tell Urantia Book students, most especially those who I see that they are really very, very interested in the book and they are deeply studying the book. I tell them, that's my own personal opinion. I'm not saying thus saith the Lord. Personally, I suggest just focus on the book. If you want church, when you fellowship with your Urantia Book students, that's church. There's no need to go to Muslim mosque, Christian church, Hindu temple. You may visit them once in a while, but I don't think there's need to go every week. But if you want to go every week, that's fine. I'm just talking about my personal bias. And the reason why I have this bias is the Urantia Book activities is not a lack on the planet as far as I'm seeing. There's so much work to be done. So why will we be spending so much time in a Christian church or a Muslim mosque when the Urantia Book community has a lot of work to be done? That is my personal opinion. But again, there are Urantia Book students who go to Christian churches every week, and that is fine. Please don't get me wrong. That is fine. Muslim mosque every week, Hindu temple every week, Buddhist temple every week. That is fine. Yeah, Brother Daniels. You want to say something, Brother Daniels? Over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pastor Caro, for your wonderful explanations. So, like you said, it's all about strategy, right? We all just have to figure out what our strategy is going to be. So, like, we are trying to figure out what strategies, how to live our lives, things to do within our day, activities that will aid us in, achieving the right result. And for a young person like you, I would suggest that you early on incorporate the habit of studying, because a lot of Christians know about praying, they have an active prayer life, but they usually don't have an active life of studying. We're actually studying for an hour, for 30 minutes, of actually just reading and jotting, and having this incorporated into your daily routine, will go a long way in helping you study generally. Now, if you have this installed, within your lifestyle, then to be easier to now add the Urantia book into it, and then you'll be able to study. Now, you're not just studying because you want to read the Urantia book, you're studying because studying scriptures is now your lifestyle. It will be easier to now maintain and then sustain that interest. Then in relation to what you were saying, Pastor Kara, about associating with churches and associating with these other evolutionary religions, I agree with you. You know, and from my own experience, I've seen why the deeper you go in the study of the Urantia book, the more difficult it may be for you to actually fully integrate into any of these religious systems, because you end up going to these places, and then you sit down and then you listen. It may not be easy to find a place where the belief system will not cause some thought spikes within your mind, because whoever is standing on that pulpit and is saying things and is representing a belief system. And we know that the more you study the Ransha book, the more your belief system begin to diverge away from the norm. So it will now require another level of purpose to determine exactly why you are in this place now, right? So you will now really have to answer that question of, why am I really here? And like you said, Pastor Caro, truly, I think members of the Urantia community should actually be working in line with making this doing this work that needs to be done, rather than wasting time. So, but it depends on what purpose they have, on why they are in where they are, and what mission they have there. So, but I still believe that we need to actually work in this other aspect, in this other niche, which is the fifth epochal revelation, because the revelation that is operating at the highest level of truth should be what we will be promoting. So, but we are trying to work on systems. The Russian book community is still very young, and still we are like still experimenting, right? But I really agree that we need to, all hands need to be on deck. But I just think the system that would engage all these hands is information. So as time goes on, all hands that needs to be on deck will actually come on deck.
Thank you. Another key thing as well is, it costs money to build an organization, to build a movement. So if you are going to a Christian church, a Muslim mosque, a Hindu temple, etc., the question is, are you taking all your money there? My thing is, for those UB students who want to attend these other churches, these evolutionary religious outlets, yes, you may go there, but are you giving them all your giving money? So let's say every month the money you have to give, you allocate, that you can afford to allocate to religious work. Let's say it's $100, for example. Where's that $100 going every month? Why are you taking $100 to the Christian church? Christianity is already big, it's everywhere. You already know the importance of the Urantia book, the fifth epochal revelation. So why are you going to take $100 to that Muslim mosque or Christian church? My thing is, if you want to visit those places, or you want to go there once a week or twice a week, that's up to you. But your $100 is needed to help the fifth epochal revelation to go forward. So instead of taking your $100 there, bring it to a Urantia book-based organization. Or you take $20 there, you bring $80 or $90. That is it. Otherwise, how are we going to grow? Okay, you said the Urantia book, fifth epochal revelation, is a young movement. In a sense, yes. Christianity is like about 2,000 years old, and the fifth epochal revelation, we are about 90 years old, about 90, right? If you want to count from 1935, it actually started maybe around 1920. The book was in formulation. The forum, they were meeting, they were discussing, they were getting messages from our unseen brothers and sisters. So maybe you can take 10, 20 years back, but the book itself was completed by 1935 and published in 1955. So it's less than 100 years old. 100 years, for example, let's say about 100 years old, compared to Christianity, 2,000 years old. Compared to Islam, Islam is over 1,000 years old. Isn't that right? So from that perspective, you may say it's young. But check this out. How about a canker? Go online, do a search. How old is a canker? We can do that right now. Go online, do a search. Grail message. How old is Grail message? You will see that a canker, 1965. A canker, 1965. Founded by Paul Twitchell in 1965. Urantia Book movement is at least, if you want to count from when the book was published, at least 10 years older than a canker. But a canker, from my own observation, or except I'm wrong, a canker is more widely known worldwide than Urantia Book. Go type Grail message. Grail message is not more than 200 years old. Grail message is not more than 200 years old. Started around maybe 1875. Okay? 2075 will make it 200 years old. So Grail message is not even up to 200 years old. Grail message is more widely known than Urantia Book. The Grail message book, their movement, their activities. So in my opinion, Urantia Book, Grail message 1875. Sister BC just put out there on the chat, on the message section. 1875. So in my opinion, Urantia Book, generally speaking, Urantia Book readers, generally speaking, in my opinion, they are just sleeping. They are not playing. They are playing. They are not very, 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 very serious. That's my opinion. That's why I don't waste time with the larger Urantia Book community. I spend time with our brothers and sisters there, but I don't spend all my time there. That's why you will not even see me in a lot of their meetings. Because I'm looking at these people and I'm like, since 1955, what have you guys done? So instead of me spending so much time, because I could have been in a very high position in all this, in some of these major UB organizations, you know. I could have been if I wanted to. Very high. I could have been. I know what to do to be there at the very top. In some of these, let's say, if you want to count the first 5 major Urantia Book organizations on the planet. But I said to myself, no, I'm going to focus more energies on the ChristMichaelCenter, because I'm looking at these people since 1955. What have you done? A canker came 1965, 10 years later. See what they've done. Look at Grail message. We can go to other new religions that are not up to 200 or 300 years old. See what they've done. If I follow these guys, no, I don't have time to waste. I gave up a lot when I evolved from Christianity. So coming to this Jesusonian religion of the spirit, religion of personal relationship with my thought adjuster, I'm not going to waste time. I gave up a lot. I know what I gave up, what I lost, as it were, but I count it all gain. So I'm not going to come. I'm coming here. I'm looking at you guys. You guys are just taking things so slowly. Goodbye. So I talk with them. I relate with them. I work with them as well. But I do it in such a way that I am not distracted in my outreach work. Because if I'm not careful, those my brothers and sisters in the Urantia Book community who are walking slowly, very slowly, they will suck me in. Before I know it, I'll be like them. So I relate with them. I give them some distance. I relate with them, fellowship with them, talk with them. I may attend 1 or 2 meetings once in a while. But for the most part, I have a laser focus on what we are doing at the ChristMichaelCenter. Now see what God is doing through us. We're in 7 countries around the world now, and we have members and followers in other countries outside the 7 countries. We are growing little by little. We have cell groups in different places. More and more people are beginning to know of the Urantia Book because of you and I, because of the work we are doing at the ChristMichaelCenter. Just imagine if I just behave like those guys, just take it slowly, slowly. The world is not ready yet. That's what some of them keep saying. The world is not ready yet. No. So that's why I'm doing my strategy. You see what I'm doing? The way I'm doing things is intentional. And when we talk of the world is not ready yet, what do we really mean? What do we mean when we say the world is not ready? The world may not be ready for the world may not be ready to know about the architects of the master universe. The world may not be ready to know about this topic of finality transcendation. You know, there's a teaching on that in the Urantia Book. Finality transcendation. The world may not be ready to know the intricacies of the Supreme Being. No problem. But the world is ready for the message that Jesus presented. And that message is presented in a beautiful way in the Urantia Book. So why not take out time and share that with the world? If that is the only thing you can do. But we have a lot of Urantia Book readers, they are not doing it. They have even money. We have Urantia Book organizations who have money, more money than the ChristMichaelCenter. 200 times more money than what we have. They are not doing what we are talking about. They could have been sharing the teachings of Jesus in a very powerful way, worldwide, using social media, using face-to-face conference meetings, worldwide, where they will invite the general public. They're not doing enough. They are saying the world is not ready. The world may not be ready for finality transcendation, but the world is ready for the teachings that Jesus presented in the UB. Why not present that to the world? To me, some of them are not serious. To me, some may be serious, but they are confused because, you know, the book is big. They are confused. They don't know where to start from, and they don't know how to come up with a strategy that works. They don't want to take out time to do that. Some of them, they know the strategy that works, but they are not ready to pay the price. They want to be liked. They don't want people to persecute them. Some of them don't want persecution. So they are waiting for the world to be ready. If Jesus waited for the world to be ready, would he have done what he did? Do you think the world was ready for Jesus? There are a lot of things about Jesus the world was not ready for. But Jesus came out and made a difference. So I said to Urantia Book students, you don't have to talk about everything in the Urantia Book when you teach publicly. Look at me, for example. How many times do you hear me teach about evolution? I can do a teaching for 6 months on evolution alone in the Urantia Book. But do you see me doing that publicly? Once in a while, I might just chip in a word or two. Looking at my history, once in a while, I might just chip in a word or two. But for the most part, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that publicly. There are other areas I'm focusing on that is benefiting people in different countries. Even the little that I'm focusing on, a lot of people still on the planet are not ready for them. Can you imagine that? Even the little I focus on, they are not ready. But I keep working and I keep adjusting my strategy because I do reviews from time to time. Right? Just today now I came up with I concluded on another strategy I want to be using. I will start it this week. So because I do review from time to time, you have to review yourself personally. There is something in the Urantia Book the world is ready for. They may not be ready for everything. Just find out 1 or 2 things they are ready for and hit on that. hit on that. This is how we help the planet to go forward. Then with time, more and more people will be ready for the other stuffs. You see? Now, Brother Bolaji, you said something about when you take words from the Urantia book that your Christian friends are not familiar with, they begin to grow cold feet. They begin to wonder. They don't agree with it. Even the good message in what you have shared, they don't want to even look at that good message anymore. Their own concern is, what is Jerusalem? What is Lanonandek's son? What is wrong with this brother? Where is he going? Too much reading. They will ignore the beautiful teaching that you have shared, that even though they don't know what Jerusalem is, even though they don't know what Midsoniters are, even though they don't know the word Urantia is strange to them, they don't know how to just, okay, let me put that word aside and look at the teaching. They will forget your teaching and they'll be focusing on Urantia. What is Urantia? And because of that, they don't want to look at your teaching anymore. Can you imagine? That's human beings for you. Personally, I've decided I will put Urantia there. If you don't want to follow the teaching, that's your problem. Anyone that follows it, fine. Now you may follow a different strategy. Sometimes I even don't put Urantia. Sometimes I don't. I just put the teaching. But sometimes I do. So I bring in different, I use different methods. If you ask for my advice, you already know my bias. My advice, you should already figure my advice out already. I will say to you, sometimes put those words out there. Somebody somewhere needs that word. You're on social media, you are typing, put in Urantia there sometimes. Sometimes you may not, that's fine. But put it sometimes. That's what I will say to you. However, it's up to you to, decide what to do. Fine. At the end of the day, one key thing is this: do not allow yourself to try to follow the crowd. Follow your Heavenly Father. Let your Heavenly Father lead you on what strategy to implement. And I'll tell you this from experience. Your strategy can change from time to time, depending on your level of understanding, your level of spiritual maturity, also depending on your audience, and depending on different factors. Your strategy can change from time to time. Just go with the leading of God. There's no one rule or one strategy that you must follow. God does not operate that way. Look at nature. Look at birds, for example. So many different species, so many different colors. God is not mono. God is diverse. There are so many different strategies. Just go with God. God may lead you this way today. Tomorrow he will lead you another way. Just go with God. Your intentions should be in the right place, and you go with the leading of God. Personally, if you ask me, I will tell you, go to that Christian church once a week. Don't waste your time. In my own opinion, I'm not God, but in my own opinion, I'm not the Heavenly Father, but in my own opinion, if you are studying the Urantia book and you want to be going to Christian churches 3 times a week, you are wasting your time. All those 3 times a week, take all that time, pour them into studying the book, reading and listening to the audio. You may go once a week if you want to, but you don't have to. Except, now if you go, what are you going there to do? That's another thing. Just in line with what Brother Daniels said. Dr. Daniels told us, what are you going there to do? If you are just going there to listen to what they are saying, I think you are wasting your time. But if you are going there to minister to them, and of course, once again, you don't have to make mention of the name Urantia, but you go there, you use wisdom, and the teachings you are learning from the book, you impart it into them, then it makes sense. You You're going there, it will not make sense. To me, it makes sense. But if you are just going there, just sitting down, listening to them, you are wasting your time. Anything else before we call it a day?
So, Pastor Cole, I just wanted to add, thank you very much. I think one thing that's discouraged a lot of Urantia book reader is that so-called revelatory counsel and those things that they said about how the gospel should be spread. So I think
Publication
that was,
mandate. The publication
yes, that
mandate.
publication mandate.
So
Yes,
that publication mandate has done more harm than good, in our opinion.
yes, yes. And now I'm even hearing some other uh information that it may have been instigated by Caligastia. So, but that publication mandate is really what has been the break for a lot of people. They just feel like, oh, so this is what they said. So we don't even have to even, okay, now let's just relax. So they are not really, they feel, oh, the time is not yet ready. They say, ask us not to go and do this. And then they just don't want to put in any effort. But if we study the Ransha book itself, would be able to discern that effort is actually needed, right? Nobody can come in contact with any great spiritual truth and not radiate it, or be quiet about it, or be docile about it. It's not possible. So, but that mandate now is now a limitation for a lot of them. They cannot just go past it. They are stuck with it. It's kind of support their laziness, so to speak. Because the truth of the matter is that a lot of people don't have the culture of continuous study. So, or ministry work, or public work, or actively doing the work of God. Conscious that I'm doing the work of God in society. So a lot of other life activities can easily get in the way and take our attention. Then, since there's that publication mandate, then it's like permitting our inactivity. So I think that has been the drawback for a lot of people.
Correct. But I'm noticing something though in the Urantia book community. From what I'm observing, more and more Urantia book readers are beginning to question the publication mandate. And more of them are beginning to move away from the publication mandate. And that's a good thing. Even some top leaders, they are beginning to question it and move away.
Please, what's the publication mandate about?
Don't worry about that, my brother. Maybe next time. One of these days, you'll get to know about it. Don't worry about it. John, don't worry about it. It is well. It is well.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, brothers. Let's call it a day. Stay blessed.